Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to calculate taxes, tips, and discounts. What's kind of nice about calculating tax and tips is that you follow the same process. So a tax is like when you go to the store and you're going to buy something, and you know how there's that little amount that's usually tacked on? Well, that's the tax that you pay. That's money that goes to the government. Tips are like when you're at a restaurant and someone's serving you, a waiter or waitress, and then you tip them to thank them for their service. In order to calculate these things, you go about with the same steps. So step number 1 is you take the cost of the item and you multiply it by the tax rate. So the tax rate is always a percent. However, as we know, whenever we're dealing with percents and calculating things, we have to change it to a decimal first. So for example, if you're given a tax rate of, let's say, 5%, we're not going to use 5, we're going to use 0.05. So that's always the first step. So you're going to multiply the cost of the item by 0.05. Next, once you get that answer, that is going to be your tax or your tip. So what you're going to do is you're going to round that number to the nearest hundredths place. Because remember, whenever we're talking about money, we go 2 numbers after the decimal point. And then whatever you get, you just add it to the original price. This is best shown by doing an example. So a pair of sunglasses cost $15.99 and the tax rate is 5.75%. How much tax will you pay and what will be the total cost? So let's go ahead and follow these steps. First off, the tax rate, we talked about how you can't have it written as a percent. It needs to be written as a decimal. So what we want to do is divide our tax rate by 100. That gives us 0.0575. Now that we have that number, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the cost of the item by the tax rate. So we're going to multiply $15.99 and 0.0575. Now when we get this, this is going to be the amount of tax on the item, and it needs to be rounded to the hundredths place. So in this case, we're going to get an amount of tax of 92 cents. That means that when you go buy the pair of sunglasses, you have to add in tax. So we're going to add 92 cents to our $15.99. That gives us a grand total of $16.91. That's how much you would actually pay. Let's go ahead and do another one together, and then you can practice a couple on your own. So number 1 says there is a CD, it costs $8.99, and there's a 5.5% tax rate. Okay, so first step is to change the percent to a decimal. Remember to do that, we divide by 100. That gives us 0.055. Now, in order to figure out the dollar amount of how much tax we're going to pay, you're going to multiply the cost of the CD by 0.055. That gives us 49 cents. That's another one where we have to round. That means that with the cost of the CD, you also have to pay 49 cents tax. So to calculate our total cost, we're going to add the $8.99 plus 49 cents. And that's going to give us $9.48. All right, so now I would like you to try numbers 2 and 3 on your own. So pause the video and then play the video when you're ready. If you want to do number 2 and then check it, and then do number 3 and check it, that might be a good idea. All right, let's see how you did on number 2. So first off, we change our percent to a decimal. So 0.065 is what we're going to use. And then we multiply the cost of our video game by the tax rate. That's going to give us a dollar amount of tax of $2.57. Then, to find the total, we're going to add $2.57 to our $39.50. That gives us a total cost of $42.07. All right, let's see how you did on number 3. A new Blu-ray you want to buy costs $24.99. If the sales tax is 7.25%, what is the total cost? First, remember, change your percent to a decimal. To calculate the amount of tax, now we need to add $1.81 plus our $24.99. That gives us $26.80. That's how much you're going to end up paying for the movie. All right, so now let's move on to calculating tips. Tips, you're going to calculate the same exact way as tax because a tip is an additional amount that you have to pay, just like a tax. So if the cost of a meal is $34.95 and we're going to leave an 18% tip, first calculate the dollar amount of the tip by following the same process that we did before. Change your percent to a decimal and then multiply it by the cost of the meal. That's going to give us $6.29. So the amount of tip we want to leave is $6.29. Now if we want to know what our total bill is going to be after we add that in, we're going to add $34.95 and $6.29. That gives us a total of $41.24. So that's the total amount of our bill. All right, now it's your turn. Go ahead and try number 5. For graduation, a family goes to dinner and the meal costs $78. If they tip 20%, how much did the total meal cost? Pause the video and try it. All right, let's see how you did. You should have gotten a total cost of $93.60. The tip ended up being $15.60 because 78 times 0.2 is $15.60. Okay, now let's talk about discounts. So the only difference between discounts and tax and tips is that you're going to subtract the amount from the original price. So this is not an amount extra that you have to pay. A discount is good for you. You're actually going to be paying less. So at the Gap, the sweater Jane wants to buy is $38, but it is marked 35% off. How much will Jane save and what will be the total cost? So in order to calculate the amount that she's going to save or the amount of the discount, go ahead and follow the same process that we followed before. You're going to multiply your rate by your cost of the sweater. When you do that, you get a discount of $13.30. Now, since this is a discount, that means in order to find the total cost, we want to take the $38 sweater and subtract $13.30. That gives us a final price of $24.70. All right, now it's your turn. So we have a few items here that are all being sold at a discount. Go ahead and calculate how much the discount is and what the total price will be. All right, so here's the first one worked out. You should have gotten a discount of $5.28, which gives you a total for the book of $10.71. All right, for the second problem, you should have gotten a total price of $59.99. And the last problem should have gotten a total for the shorts of $27. Now, realistically, when you go to the store and there's something that's on sale, you also have to pay tax on it. So in this problem, we have to do two calculations. At Target, a 32-inch TV sells for $198.99. It is on sale for 25% off, and the sales tax is 7.25%. What is the final cost of the TV? How you want to think about this is you want to think about this as two separate problems. First, calculate the amount of the discount and subtract it from the dollar amount. So go ahead and pause the video. Find what the cost of the TV would be just after the discount. Okay, so once you calculate the cost of the discount, the cost of the TV would be $149.24. Now what we want to do is we want to think of this as a new problem, and off of this cost, we need to calculate how much tax we're going to pay. So using $149.24, go ahead and calculate the tax. The sales tax rate is 7.25%. Okay, so the amount of tax that you'd have to pay is $10.82. So what's important here is that we make sure that we add the $10.82 to our discounted cost of the TV. This gives us a total cost of $160.06. Nice job calculating tax, tips, and discounts.